The galaxy was on edge. Warships flashed across the dark void like lightning, leaving trails of shimmering energy behind them. The aliens called it the Age of Endless Conflict. For centuries, their factions had fought each other over planets, resources, and power. Entire systems were now scarred with the marks of battle. Burning skies, shattered moons, and drifting fleets that had once been proud civilizations. In the heart of the Valerian system, a council of alien leaders gathered on a massive space station. Its walls were lined with monitors displaying fleets in formation, planets in orbit, and signals from distant allies. Each leader had a unique appearance, some with scales, others with multiple limbs, and some with eyes that glowed in eerie colors. They were powerful beings, intelligent and ruthless, yet even they were uneasy. "This is unacceptable," said General Tyler, a towering figure with armor that shimmered like liquid metal. His voice rumbled through the chamber. "We expected reinforcements by now. Without them, our fleets are vulnerable. The enemy will crush us before the next cycle ends." "I agree," hissed Lady Zivra, her eyes flashing red. "Our scouts report nothing. Not a single ship from the promised allies has arrived. Perhaps the rumors of their power were exaggerations." The council murmured nervously. Every faction had heard the whispers. A legendary force that could turn the tide of any battle. Their enemies had called them unstoppable. But now, with each passing hour, their absence was a growing concern. Then, a signal appeared on the monitors. It was faint at first, just a blip among thousands of other readings. But it moved fast, with a precision that caught everyone's attention. "What is that?" Lady Zivra asked, narrowing her eyes. "It's small," another leader said, confused. "It doesn't match any known fleet signatures." General Tyler stepped closer to the main display. "Zoom in." The monitors revealed a small formation of ships approaching the Valerian system. They were unlike anything the aliens had seen. Their designs were simple, almost primitive, compared to the complex, angular warships of the galaxy's major powers. Yet, there was something unsettling about them. They moved with purpose, slicing through space as if they knew exactly where to go. "Pathetic," one officer sneered. "These ships are tiny. They cannot be the reinforcements we were promised. We have nothing to fear." But General Tyler did not speak. His sharp eyes studied the fleet. Something about their calm, deliberate movement made him uneasy. He had faced countless enemies in his long life, but this was different. The ships drew closer, passing through the defensive perimeter of the Valerian system. The aliens scrambled their fleets, ready to engage. They had prepared for a grand army, not this handful of unknown vessels. Suddenly, the human ships performed maneuvers that the alien fleets could not predict. They twisted, split, and regrouped with perfect timing. It was as if the ships themselves were alive, moving in ways no algorithm or war plan could anticipate. How are they doing this?" one officer gasped. "Our weapons cannot track them." Explosions lit up space, but not in the way the aliens expected. The humans did not attack directly at first. Instead, they disabled key systems of the Valerian defense grid using small, precise strikes. No casualties, no destruction of the main ships, just a methodical dismantling of defenses. Lady Zivra's jaw dropped. "This is impossible. They should be annihilated." General Tyler's eyes narrowed. "They are not following the rules. They think differently. Watch carefully. They may yet surprise us." And indeed, they did. A small human ship detached from the fleet and approached the largest Valerian battleship. The aliens laughed. Surely, such a tiny craft would be destroyed instantly. Yet, the human ship moved with uncanny speed and precision, evading every turret and laser blast. Within moments, the massive battleship's shield system failed, not from brute force, but from subtle interference the aliens could not understand. "Impossible!" Lady Zivra screamed. "They should have been vaporized." The council watched in stunned silence as more human ships engaged the defenses. They were few in number, yet every move was calculated, every strike perfect. They seemed to anticipate the aliens' strategies before the aliens themselves could act. General Tyler finally spoke, his voice low but filled with awe. These humans, they are not like any enemy we have faced. They do not rely on sheer power, yet they achieve what our largest fleets cannot. They think differently. As the human fleet continued their advance, strange signals began to appear on the alien monitors. The humans did not communicate in the usual galactic codes. Instead, their messages were brief, almost cryptic, yet each one seemed to guide their fleet with perfect coordination. "They are organized," one officer muttered. "But not like us. Their thinking, it's alien, in a way we cannot understand." The tension in the council chamber grew. For the first time, the alien leaders felt true fear, not of death, but of the unknown. The humans were unpredictable, intelligent, and relentless, yet calm. They moved through the battlefield with a strange confidence, as if the chaos around them did not matter. On the surface of one of the Valerian planets, civilians watched the approaching fleet. They had heard rumors of the humans, but no one believed them. The planet had been bombarded for cycles, and hope was a distant memory. Yet, as the small fleet appeared on the horizon, a spark of hope ignited. Perhaps this unknown force was the salvation they had waited for. Back in space, the aliens scrambled to understand. Reports flew in from all directions, human ships disabling weapons, capturing key positions, and yet leaving no unnecessary destruction. It was a war fought with strategy and ingenuity, not violence. One young Valerian officer, barely out of training, whispered to her commander, "They are heroes, aren't they?" The commander did not answer immediately. He watched as humans approached another heavily defended outpost. The humans split into smaller groups, each targeting specific weaknesses. Within minutes, the outpost's communications were under human control. Yet, the station remained intact. They could destroy everything," the commander said quietly. "But they choose not to. They fight differently." The aliens' confusion turned to fear. The humans' intentions were unclear. Were they here to conquer? To help? Or something else entirely? Suddenly, a transmission from the human fleet appeared on the monitors. It was short, clear, and surprisingly simple. "We are here. Prepare wisely." The message was unsettling. No threats, no demands, just a warning. The humans were confident, and it unnerved the Valerian leaders. General Tyler slammed his fist on the table. "They are not like any force we have faced. We must adapt, and quickly. Underestimating them could destroy us all." The aliens watched as the human fleet moved with precision, each action deliberate, each movement unpredictable. It was clear that these humans were not just soldiers. They were thinkers, problem solvers, and perhaps the galaxy's most dangerous unknown variable. Meanwhile, within the human fleet, the commanders were calm. They did not rush, they did not panic. Every decision was measured, every move calculated to achieve maximum effect with minimal conflict. Their humanity shone through in subtle ways, saving civilians, avoiding unnecessary damage, and communicating clearly with allies. On the Valerian command station, an alien analyst whispered in disbelief, "They are perfect in every way we cannot understand. How can something so small be so powerful?" And that was the truth. The galaxy had expected reinforcements, massive fleets, legendary warriors, overwhelming power. What arrived instead was something completely unexpected: humans. Not the strongest, not the largest, not the most advanced. But clever, adaptable, and brave. And that made them unstoppable. As the humans advanced deeper into the Valerian system, the alien council realized something terrifying: they were no longer in control. The humans had arrived, and nothing in the galaxy would ever be the same again. The human fleet moved through the Valerian system with steady precision. Each ship seemed to know its place, its purpose, as if guided by an unseen intelligence. Alien scouts reported every maneuver back to their leaders, yet each message caused more confusion than understanding. The humans acted in ways that no alien tactic, no simulation, had predicted. General Tyler studied the reports in silence. His fingers tapped a sharp rhythm on the table as he observed the humans disable another Valerian defense station. The station was heavily armed, with layered shields and automated turrets. Yet, within moments of human arrival, it was neutralized, intact but under control of the humans. "They're not fighting like us," muttered Tyler. "They don't use brute force. They think differently." Lady Zivra's multiple eyes narrowed. "Explain, General. They must have some hidden weapon, some secret power. Nothing else could make them succeed." "That's the thing," Tyler replied, his voice low. "We've scanned them inside and out. Their technology is primitive in comparison to ours. Yet, they succeed where we fail. They do not fight the way we expect. They solve problems in ways our simulations cannot anticipate." The council murmured uneasily. Alien generals were used to predictable patterns in warfare. Enemy movements could be mapped, calculated, and countered. But these humans, there was no formula, no pattern, and that terrified them. On a small human ship, Captain Rena focused on her screen. The Valerian outpost had automated defenses and patrol drones. She scanned the station, noting its weaknesses. With a quiet nod to her crew, she spoke clearly. "Team Alpha, move to Sector 2. Disable the power node. Team Beta, flank from above. Use the gravity vents to approach undetected." Her crew followed without hesitation. They worked as if each movement was instinctual, yet every action was deliberate, perfectly timed. Within minutes, the human team had neutralized the station's defenses without a single casualty. Not a single shot had been wasted, not a single robot destroyed unnecessarily. Back at the Valerian Council, monitors displayed the operation. One officer rubbed his claws over his face in disbelief. How did they do that? Their ships are tiny. They should have been destroyed instantly." Tyler leaned closer to the screen. "Because they are not following rules. We fight with numbers, with power. Humans fight with thought. That is their secret. And it makes them unpredictable." Meanwhile, another human ship docked at a captured Valerian station. The humans moved calmly through the corridors, securing the facility. Alien prisoners watched with wide eyes, unsure whether these beings were friend or foe. A young Valerian named Leary whispered to a nearby prisoner, "Are they going to kill us?" The prisoner shook his head. "I do not think so. They are different." Indeed, the humans' first action was not violence. They restored critical systems, provided food and medical supplies, and then approached the alien leadership with simple words, "We are here to help, not to harm." In the council chamber, Lady Zivra's eyes widened. "They speak our language," she hissed. "Impossible." "They are learning," Tyler said. "Or perhaps they already understand more than we ever will." The humans' calm approach was unsettling. While the Valerians expected aggression, the humans acted with precision, strategy, and, most importantly, ethics. They did not destroy unless necessary. They did not harm unless provoked. Yet, the aliens could not predict their next move. The humans split their forces, not randomly, but with an almost artistic logic. One team sabotaged key weapons to prevent unnecessary escalation. Another rescued civilians from areas about to be bombarded. A third intercepted enemy communications and decrypted messages without relying on Valerian technology. "This is impossible," one young officer muttered to his commander. "They do not even use our methods, and yet they succeed. Every plan we have, every calculation, fails against them." Tyler nodded gravely. "We face a new kind of threat. One we cannot simply overpower. Humans do not follow the rules we know. They create new rules." Inside the human command ship, Captain Rena reviewed her next objectives. "We need to stabilize this sector," she said. "The Valerians will panic if they believe the humans intend war. Our job is to prevent that and ensure minimal conflict. Move carefully, but decisively. Her crew nodded. Each person understood the subtle balance between action and restraint. They acted with calm confidence, almost as if the chaos around them was irrelevant. On a distant Valerian outpost, two alien generals argued. "They are too small. Their fleet cannot pose a threat," said one, frustration coloring his voice. The other shook his head. "Do not underestimate them. They are small, yes, but their intelligence, it is unmatched. They do not fight with weapons alone. They fight with ideas, with creativity. That is something we cannot predict or counter easily." Indeed, the humans' ingenuity was evident in every move. Small teams disabled major warships without firing a single missile. Ships moved in unexpected formations, confusing the Valerian fleet. Even the smallest human craft seemed to have a purpose beyond what could be explained. As the humans continued their campaign, the Valerian Council scrambled to understand their enemy. Analysts ran simulations, comparing historical battles, reviewing human behavior, and scanning ship designs. Every attempt failed. Humans could not be predicted. Every solution the aliens devised was countered by a new, unexpected tactic. On one human vessel, Lieutenant Kor studied alien communications. "They are trying to anticipate us," he said, smiling slightly. "They cannot. We do not fight the way they expect." Captain Rena nodded. "Good. Keep it that way. Confusion is a weapon as strong as any laser or missile." Meanwhile, back on the Valerian capital station, Lady Zivra realized the humans were doing something even more unsettling. They were teaching the aliens about strategy without forcing them to fight. One small human squad had secured an important supply station, restored systems, and then offered guidance to Valerian engineers. "This cannot be," she whispered. They are helping us." "Why?" Tyler's face was grim. "Because humans are not like us. They measure strength differently. They value more than power. That is why they succeed where we fail. They are unpredictable allies or dangerous enemies. And we cannot tell which yet." As night fell across the Valerian system, the human fleet gathered near a massive asteroid field. Their ships seemed to shimmer under the distant starlight, almost blending with the shadows. Within the asteroid field, they prepared their next operation. The aliens did not know it, but the humans had already planned several steps ahead. Each asteroid was mapped, each patrol route calculated, and each potential threat accounted for. Their plan did not rely on overwhelming force, but on creativity, speed, and adaptability. One Valerian spy whispered to a fellow officer, "I do not understand them. They are small, yet they control the battlefield without firing shots that could destroy us all. They are remarkable." The human approach to war was simple but revolutionary. They used imagination and strategy over sheer power. They anticipated alien reactions, adapted instantly, and never wasted energy on unnecessary conflict. Captain Rena issued her orders calmly. "Scout drones to Sector 5. Use minimal energy. Observe the enemy. Avoid detection unless necessary. Team Gamma, prepare for boarding if required, but only as a last resort. We do not escalate unless we must." Her crew executed the orders flawlessly. Each movement was precise, yet flexible. The humans were calm, confident, and completely unpredictable. Back at the Valerian Council, Tyler clenched his hands. "I faced countless enemies, all predictable in one way or another. These humans, they do not follow patterns we know. And that makes them more dangerous than anything we have ever faced." Lady Zivra's gaze hardened. "Then we must adapt. We cannot defeat them with power alone. We must think like them. Or we will lose control of this system, and perhaps the war itself." But even as the Valerians plotted, the humans continued to act. They had rescued civilians, disabled key weapons, and secured strategic points, all without unnecessary violence. Every move was measured, deliberate, and unexpected. In one moment, a small human vessel approached the largest Valerian battleship. Alien officers braced for attack. Yet, instead of firing, the human ship sent a simple message. "We do not wish to destroy. Prepare to cooperate, or your systems will be rendered ineffective. The choice is yours." The aliens hesitated. They had faced demands before, but never so calm, so precise, so intelligent. The humans' confidence unnerved them. It was clear that the humans could destroy them if they wished, but they did not. They chose control through strategy, not fear. Tyler exhaled slowly. They are not just warriors. They are teachers, strategists, and diplomats, all in one. And they do it without showing arrogance or cruelty. That is what makes them terrifying. As the human fleet withdrew slightly to regroup, the Valerian Council realized a new truth. They could not predict these humans, they could not control them, and they could not underestimate them. The humans had arrived, not with force alone, but with intelligence, courage, and morality. And that made them far more dangerous than any weapon the galaxy had ever known. The humans have shown they can outthink the aliens. But the Valerians are not defeated yet. What will happen when humans face the full might of the Valerian elite fleet? The answer lies ahead, in the next part of the story. The Valerian system trembled under the presence of the human fleet. While alien leaders scrambled to make sense of these small, unpredictable ships, the humans moved calmly, deliberately, as if the chaos around them did not exist. Their ships seemed almost alive, weaving through asteroid fields and dodging patrols with an ease that alien simulations could never replicate. General Tyler watched from his command station, his armored hands gripping the edge of the console. "We cannot anticipate them," he muttered, his voice low. "Every move they make is outside the rules we know." Lady Zivra's eyes narrowed. "We have the largest fleet in the system. Surely, we can overwhelm them with numbers." Tyler shook his head. "Numbers mean nothing against humans. They are small, yes, but they adapt faster than any species we've faced. Our predictions fail because they do not fight like us. They solve problems in real time. That is their power." Meanwhile, deep within the human command ship, Captain Rena studied holographic maps of the Valerian positions. "We have caused confusion," she said softly, "but that is only the beginning. Our goal is not destruction, it is to neutralize the system while avoiding unnecessary loss of life." Her lieutenant, a young officer named Kor, glanced at her. "They will attack if we show weakness, won't they?" "Perhaps," Rena replied. "But humans do not fight for dominance alone. We fight for choice, for freedom, for life. The Valerians do not understand that yet. That is why we are dangerous. They cannot predict what motivates us." On a distant Valerian outpost, officers argued over the human strategy. "Why do they spare our civilians?" one hissed. "Why do they not destroy everything we hold?" Another shook his head. "That is the secret of humans. They are not like us. We value power, domination, control. Humans value something different. We cannot understand it, and that is what makes them unpredictable." The Valerians' confusion deepened when a human boarding team infiltrated a heavily defended communications hub. Every alien guard was ready for a fight, expecting fire and violence. Yet, the humans approached quietly. They disabled the hub systems using precision tools, clever devices, and sometimes, nothing more than careful observation. By the time the Valerians realized what had happened, the hub was under human control. Not a single guard was killed. Not a single ship was destroyed unnecessarily. General Tyler watched the operation unfold on his monitors. He had seen armies, fleets, and entire civilizations crumble, but never had he witnessed such efficiency without brutality. "They are not warriors in the conventional sense," he whispered. "They are artists of war. Every action measured, every outcome calculated. But with mercy. That is impossible." Meanwhile, on the planet of Krelian, civilians had begun to take note of the humans' behavior. Rumors spread quickly. Stories of small teams disarming bombs, saving children from crumbling buildings, repairing critical infrastructure. For the first time in cycles, the people dared to hope. A young Krelian engineer, named Lyra, spoke quietly to her companions. They are not like any invaders we have faced. They are helping us. Perhaps they are here to change the system, not conquer it. Her words echoed through the small crowd. No one argued. Everyone watched the night sky, waiting for the humans' next move. Back in space, the Valerians scrambled. Every plan they devised to predict or trap the humans failed. Every strategy collapsed under the weight of human adaptability. Even the smallest human ship, a scout vessel, seemed to anticipate alien maneuvers before they happened. Captain Rena studied the situation carefully. We need to secure the outer perimeter. The Valerians will send reinforcements from the farthest sectors. If we can slow them down, we maintain control without unnecessary conflict. Her orders were simple, clear, and executed flawlessly. Human ships moved in small groups, intercepting alien patrols, redirecting their energy, and neutralizing threats with precision. Every move was designed to conserve resources, save lives, and maintain the humans' unpredictable advantage. In the Valerian Council chamber, anxiety grew. "They are too intelligent for their numbers," said an officer, fidgeting with his console. "They are outthinking us at every step. How can so few achieve so much?" Tyler's expression was grim. "Humans are more than soldiers. They are thinkers, problem solvers, and strategists in ways we cannot comprehend. Their secret is their adaptability. They do not rely on overwhelming force, they rely on understanding, observation, and quick action. That is why they succeed." The Valerians tried to counter the humans with technology, deploying automated drones and advanced weapons. Yet, the humans avoided direct confrontation. They used terrain, environmental factors, and the alien fleet's own patterns to disable these threats. One young Valerian officer, observing the humans' movement, muttered to his companion, "It is like they can see the battlefield before it exists." "Perhaps," the other replied quietly. "Or perhaps they do not see it, they create it." As night fell across the system, the human fleet gathered near a massive asteroid belt. Captain Rena called her officers to the central command room. "We must move carefully. The Valerians will not understand our strategy, but they will respond. Our strength lies in being unpredictable and precise." Lieutenant Core nodded. "And if they attack?" Rena smiled faintly. "Then we adapt. That is what humans do." The Valerians, sensing a potential human strike, mobilized their elite forces. Massive battleships moved in formation, armed with powerful energy cannons and advanced targeting systems. They expected the humans to engage in conventional battle, yet when the fleets approached the asteroid belt, the humans were already there, hidden in shadow, ready to strike or evade. It was not brute force that gave the humans their advantage, it was timing. One human ship emerged from the belt to disable a weapons platform. Another intercepted communication channels. Another prepared boarding teams. Each action was calculated, yet executed with calm precision. General Tyler watched the unfolding events. He had commanded fleets that had obliterated entire star systems, yet he had never seen strategy executed with such subtlety. "They do not fight like us. They fight differently. That is why they win." On the ground, civilians whispered stories of the humans' actions. "They move like the wind," one child said. "They know where to go and what to do before anyone else can even see it." In the Valerian capital, Lady Zivra paced. "We must discover their secret. If we understand it, perhaps we can defeat them." Tyler shook his head. "Their secret is not in technology, Zivra. It is in the mind. They see the battlefield as a living puzzle, not as lines of force or weapons. We cannot predict that, we cannot copy it, and that terrifies us." Meanwhile, the humans moved silently through the asteroid belt, coordinating with each other without visible communication. Their actions were precise, almost instinctual, yet clearly deliberate. They disabled weapons, rescued civilians, and intercepted supply lines without causing unnecessary damage. It was this combination of logic, ethics, and creativity that made them unstoppable. Not power, not numbers, not weapons, but thinking differently. As dawn approached, the Valerians realized they were outmatched not by strength, but by mind and morality. The humans had achieved what seemed impossible, controlling key points in the system, neutralizing threats, and yet leaving the Valerians' pride intact. On her ship, Captain Rena looked at the star maps and spoke softly. The galaxy expected reinforcements, they received humans instead. And that is enough to change everything. Her crew nodded in silent agreement. They did not boast, they did not celebrate. They simply continued their mission with calm focus, aware of the fragile balance between victory and chaos. Back at the Valerian Council, Tyler turned to Zivra. We face a species we cannot predict. Their secret is their humanity. That is their strength and our weakness. And if we underestimate them again, the consequences will be catastrophic. Lady Zivra swallowed hard. Then what do we do? Tyler's gaze hardened. We survive. And we learn. But first, we must witness what humans are capable of. And that is yet to come. The galaxy waited, unsure of the next move. Humans had revealed their secret: intelligence, morality, and adaptability. The Valerians had yet to discover the full extent of this force, and they would soon learn that humans are more than soldiers, they are a new kind of power in the galaxy. And as the human fleet prepared for the next phase of their mission, one truth became clear. The Valerians had never faced an enemy like this before, and they would never forget it. Humans have shown their true secret: their intelligence and morality make them unpredictable. The Valerians are preparing a massive response, but will it be enough to counter humans' unique strategy? The next part of the story will reveal the stakes in full. The Valerian system was on high alert. Every fleet, every station, every orbital cannon was prepared for the humans' next move. The alien leaders had grown increasingly anxious. They had faced countless invaders before, but none had ever defied expectations so completely. These humans were small, seemingly insignificant, and yet every move they made crippled Valerian plans. General Tyler's eyes glinted with both respect and fear as he observed the incoming human maneuvers. They are too clever for their numbers, he muttered. They do not fight like us. They fight differently. Lady Zivra's gaze sharpened. Then we must fight differently. We cannot rely on conventional power. We must overwhelm them with strategy and numbers. Yet, even as the Valerian fleets mobilized, the humans remained calm. Captain Rena stood on the bridge of her command ship, observing the massive formations of enemy ships. She spoke quietly to her officers. They will try to crush us with numbers and firepower. That is what every enemy does. But humans do not rely on numbers or weapons. We rely on creativity, teamwork, and adaptability. Remember that, and we cannot be defeated. Lieutenant Core studied the tactical maps. They outnumber us 10-1. If they attack directly... Rena interrupted him with a calm tone. If they attack directly, they will fail. That is why they will not. They will use the environment, misdirection, and our weaknesses against us. Humans never play the way others expect. That is their advantage. In the Valerian Command Center, panic spread among officers. Every move they made was anticipated and countered. Small human ships darted between asteroid belts, using gravitational fields to evade detection. The aliens' targeting systems failed repeatedly as humans disabled key systems with clever sabotage, not firepower. "Impossible!" shouted an officer as a massive cannon failed to fire. "Our shields, our turrets, everything is useless." General Tyler exhaled slowly. Humans do not rely on strength. They rely on thought. That is their weapon. That is why they are dangerous. Meanwhile, small human teams carried out coordinated strikes across the system. One group boarded a heavily armed Valerian cruiser, but instead of fighting, they used simple tools to disable critical systems. The ship remained intact, yet it could no longer threaten civilians or human ships. On the Valerian flagship, officers whispered nervously, "How can so few humans control so much without destruction?" "It is their secret," Tyler replied grimly. "They are not like any species we have faced. They use intelligence, not just weapons. Morality, strategy, and creativity, these are their strengths. And we cannot match them directly." Outside the asteroid field, a human scout ship approached an enemy supply line. The aliens expected a frontal attack. Instead, the human ship used the gravity of nearby asteroids to swing around, appearing behind the fleet. Within minutes, the supply convoy was neutralized. Not a single ship was destroyed unnecessarily, but the fleet's effectiveness was cut in half. The Valerians could not understand it. Their weapons, their numbers, their strategy, everything was rendered ineffective by a small, calm, intelligent human force. Back on the human command ship, Rena watched the battle unfold. "They expect us to play their game. But we create our own game. Never forget that." Korn nodded. "It is almost unfair. They cannot see what we see. They cannot anticipate what we anticipate." "Exactly," Rena said. "That is why humans survive. That is why humans win." The Valerians launched their elite fleet in a desperate attempt to crush the humans. Massive warships advanced, armed with the deadliest weapons available. Alien officers predicted swift victory, assuming the humans would be overwhelmed. But humans did not act as expected. They split into smaller units, each targeting specific weaknesses. Some disabled communications, some sabotaged weapon systems, and some distracted enemy forces, leading them into traps created by environmental hazards in the asteroid belt. Alien generals watched in disbelief. "They are not attacking directly. They are guiding us into their plan," one muttered. Tyler's face was unreadable. "No. They are controlling the battlefield without firing a shot that could destroy. That is their genius." A Valerian warlord, furious at being outmaneuvered, ordered a direct assault on a human fleet cluster. Massive energy beams lit up space as alien cannons fired in unison. Yet, every human ship moved unpredictably, dodging fire with precise timing. One tiny craft slipped between beams, delivering a hacking signal that disabled multiple weapons in the enemy fleet. The Valerians roared in frustration. "They are ghosts. How can so few control so much?" Captain Rena remained calm on her bridge. "We do not need strength," she reminded her officers. "We have intelligence, speed, and adaptability. That is enough." Small boarding teams moved onto alien vessels. They avoided unnecessary combat, neutralizing systems with clever improvisation. In one instance, a human team used the ship's own energy to overload weapons, shutting down the vessel entirely. The aliens had expected a violent fight, but humans had shown restraint, precision, and intelligence. In the Valerian capital, Lady Zivra's eyes burned with anger. "We cannot underestimate them again. But how do we fight something we cannot predict? Something that thinks differently?" Tyler's expression was grim. "We cannot. Humans will always find a way to adapt. Every trap we set, every weapon we fire, they will counter, not with strength, but with intelligence. That is why they are unstoppable." Meanwhile, the humans' ingenuity continued to astonish the galaxy. Using environmental hazards, gravitational shifts, and alien assumptions against them, the humans disabled entire fleets without direct confrontation. Small vessels slipped through defenses, sabotaged weapons, and rescued civilians simultaneously. A young Valerian officer whispered to his companion, "They are not just soldiers. They are thinkers, teachers, and problem solvers. They are impossible to predict." "Impossible," the other replied quietly. "They are more than that. They are humans." As the battle continued, a massive Valerian flagship prepared to unleash its most destructive weapon, a planet-busting cannon capable of obliterating an entire moon. Alien officers were confident this would end the humans' campaign. Yet, the humans anticipated it. Small craft maneuvered around the flagship, disabling targeting systems, rerouting power, and shutting down the cannon without destruction. The aliens were stunned. The weapon they relied on for victory had been neutralized, not by firepower, but by intelligence, adaptability, and ingenuity. Tyler's voice was barely audible. I have faced many enemies, but never one like this. They are not fighting with weapons alone, they are fighting with everything in their minds. Back in the asteroid belt, Captain Rena gave her final orders. Prepare for the Valerian counterattack. Keep calm, stay unpredictable, and remember, we do not fight as they expect. That is our advantage. Korn nodded. They cannot anticipate us, Captain. Not even their elite fleet can stop us. Outside, the Valerians scrambled to reorganize. They had underestimated humans from the start. They had expected reinforcements, massive power, and overwhelming force. Instead, they faced a force they could not predict, a species that thought differently, acted differently, and valued life differently. In the end, the human fleet held the Valerians at bay. Not with weapons, not with numbers, but with creativity, strategy, and an understanding of the battlefield that no alien could match. They had achieved the impossible, controlling the flow of war against overwhelming odds. On her command ship, Captain Rena observed the enemy fleets. They expected reinforcements, she said quietly, and they got humans instead. That is enough to change everything. The Valerians had learned a terrifying truth. Humans were not just soldiers, they were thinkers, adapters, and unpredictable forces of nature. And that made them more dangerous than any weapon, any fleet, or any alien warlord. As the human fleet withdrew slightly to regroup, the Valerians realized something chilling. They could fight, they could fire, they could strategize, but they could never truly predict humans. Every calculation failed, every plan was countered, and every advantage was nullified by the humans' unique approach to warfare. Tyler turned to Zivra. We face a species we cannot understand, cannot predict, and cannot defeat with force alone. That is what makes them unstoppable. Lady Zivra swallowed hard. Then we must adapt, or we perish. Adapt, Tyler said, voice low. We may not be able to adapt fast enough. They are always one step ahead, not because they are stronger, but because they think differently. That is the human advantage, and we are only beginning to see it. The galaxy watched as the human fleet prepared for the next phase of their mission. The Valerians were regrouping, planning, and firing, yet nothing could truly challenge the humans' ingenuity. Humans had survived the impossible. They had faced overwhelming odds, elite forces, and planet-destroying weapons, and yet they had prevailed. And the galaxy would never forget this. The humans had arrived, not with power alone, but with intelligence, morality, and adaptability. Against impossible odds, they had become the galaxy's greatest unknown force.